Hi everyone, my name is Aaron, and this is a podcast made by me and my dad last year during the summer as we travelled through France for 7 or 8 days. Apologise for the bad audio as we were recording in a car, but otherwise it's a few memories for us and maybe some enjoyment for you. Last but not least, welcome to Walking in Circles.
Alright. It's day 2. We are currently on the Eurotunnel, so we ended up getting to
The
Shuttle. We ended up getting to the Folkestone B&B at 8:30.
8:30 last night. So we left home in Cork at 4:30 in the morning. We got to Folkestone at about 8:30, so that's 16 hours. So we went from Cork, Wexford, ferry, drove all the way across Wales from Pembroke, obviously, to the border with England, and then across England to London, round the M25. We got stuck in the M25 for, must have been about an hour and a half because of traffic. And eventually then we got into Folkestone. So it was a long old day. We did about just under 700 kilometres over the 16 hours. So it was a long old day. But B&B last night, the Airbnb was good.
It was actually quite nice. Yeah, it was a little warm.
Yeah.
But that was alright. Like, you're probably going to expect that in warm weather. So, because they don't tend to have aircon. They're a bit like us that way. So yeah, we're on the Channel Tunnel now. It was right next to, it was literally a 10-minute drive from where we were staying, which was grand. So we literally got up then at 9 o'clock and just dandered away in then.
Yeah. So we're getting ready for day 2. So when we come off the tunnel, when we get off the train, then we have about an hour and a half drive into the centre of Lille, where we have our Airbnb booked for tonight. So we'll probably get into Lille. So we get into France about 1:15 French time.
Yeah.
And then, so we'll get in there probably for around 3 o'clock or so into Lille, park up, drop our stuff into Airbnb, and then we'll spend the rest of the day in the evening just wandering around Lille, having a look at the sights, enjoying ourselves, getting some food, having a couple of beers, and yeah, just enjoying Lille. So tomorrow then will be a new day, new city.
Off to Reims or Reims.
Reims.
Okay.
Reims, yeah,
Reims.
Absolutely.
Well, this is your podcast anyway, Dad.
Okay, so what did you think of it so far?
What did I think of the trip?
Yeah.
I thought the trip was quite good, actually. I was weirdly, I think, because my mindset was different going into it, as in, you don't really think of it like, oh, you're traveling to Donegal, so you're seeing all the roads you normally see, so really, you're not really engaged in the trip, you're more just going, fuck, this is taking forever. So I think I was more enjoying it. I didn't really feel like I was sitting in the car the whole time. It was kind of like, I don't know, we were just having the chats and got some nice food and KFC and stuff like that. So yeah, I've enjoyed the trip actually. I wasn't too tired either last night. I think because we were just so engaged in what was going around us and all that kind of stuff.
And last night I introduced Aaron because our telly didn't have like TV channels, but it had internet access. So we went on to the BBC iPlayer, and I showed Aaron the first ever episode of Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
Which actually I'd never seen, because when I watched it in the 80s, but I'd never seen the actual first episode, or else I can't remember seeing it. I mean, I am old after all, so yeah, long-term memory can be a bit dodgy. So that was good. We got to see essentially how the lads ended up on their spacecraft travelling around the outer galaxies. So that was interesting, a bit of nostalgia.
Yeah, I thought it was quite funny actually. It definitely gave me a lot of what would be the word? Like a lot of vibes from that kind of era. Like Dad's shown me a few different TV shows I would never remember the name of from that kind of time, and they all have the same kind of, well, mainly because they're British, but they all have the same type of comedy and the way it's filmed and the pace and all that kind of stuff, which you can't really go wrong with, to be honest.
Yeah. And Aaron got introduced to what was a very famous phrase for us back in the 80s, which was Smeghead.
Smeghead, oh yeah. Yeah.
This is what he calls Rimmer all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that used to be a thing for us back in the day. That, geez, you're a Smeghead. Still don't know what smake's supposed to mean, but there you go.
Well, I do, but it's I don't really want to get into that anyway.
Well, what does snakehead mean?
It's a bacterial fungus thing you get down there.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's an STI.
Yeah, well, it's not like an STI, but yeah, it's basically if you don't clean.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose they were, living on a spacecraft for 3 million years or whatever, like, so
Yeah.
snakehead seems appropriate then.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
considering Rimmer is a hologram, you can't exactly shower. So
Yeah.
I don't blame him, to be
All
honest.
right. So it's their version of shithead or something like
Yeah,
that?
basically.
All right. Very good. All right. So yesterday, Aaron started off our chat with a deep dive into sort of my background and all that, right? So that was sort of like, woohoo. Oh.
Jesus
Sorry, I'm just watching a man go through a door. Oh, he's definitely fighting with that.
He's fucking bullying the door.
Isn't
Jesus
it?
Christ.
It's like you're supposed to wait for it to open. Anyway, sorry. That's So we're sitting on the shuttle train, the channel tunnel train or whatever, and there's these sort of funny doors. You have to press a button and they sort of open almost like an elevator type thing, but you can push them as well. And this guy just wasn't waiting, so he pressed the button and just started fighting with it to get through.
He literally looked like a rugby player going through tackles, like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So I was like, oh Jesus, he's a bit of a rush to get back to his car, obviously. So anyway, where were we? Yeah, so I did a deep dive into sort of my childhood and maybe some of the things that influenced me and all the rest of it. So we'll maybe do a bit of that for Aaron today, although
A lot less.
he's obviously a little bit younger than me, but yeah, so we'll see where that takes us. All right, AJ, so let's start with a sort of that first ever memory, because that's what we sort of started with yesterday.
It's an easy one to get into. My first ever memory. That's a difficult one now to think about.
He just said it was easy, and now he's going, oh, it's a difficult one to
No,
get
but
into.
it's not too deep. Well, that's what I mean.
That
It's
doesn't
like,
have to
gets
be
you start-
deep, like,
no,
what?
but I'm saying it gets
You
you
remember
started.
picking your nose,
It's
is
easy
it?
to get you started. I mean,
Sucking his thumb. That was it, was it?
no.
No. All right, go on.
I think my first ever memory was in school, so I was probably about 4.5. It was in junior infants. And all I kind of remember is being on the chair doing like some sort of game with Play-Doh or something like that. Kind of a really basic memory, nothing interesting, like, because I went to school in Carrick-2, and it was a Catholic, all Catholic boys' school, and they had these really, really uncomfortable kind of wooden chairs with, all they had was a wooden base and then a gap and then like a wooden kind of thing for your back and just these metal poles that were attaching them together. And the way you could tell that we were junior infants versus senior infants was because our ones were painted yellow and the senior infants ones were painted white. And I was just sitting on the chair playing Play-Doh with my mates, and that was about it, really.
So what do we learn from that?
A
So
little less
what age
interesting
were
than
you?
yours. 4.5.
So he's 4.5. So if you have children and you think you've messed them up in the first few years of your life, you can relax, because they literally remember nothing.
Well, no, to be fair, they might not remember it.
Like, we took
But-
Aaron to Disney World when he was 3,
Did you?
and he doesn't remember it.
I did not go to Disney World. You're bullshitting, like. You never took us.
He doesn't remember.
If you took us, you would have took Cam, and Cam has never gone to Disneyland.
Doesn't remember.
He's bullshitting.
He had a
yeah.
drive in a Ferrari.
Shut
Yeah.
up.
I mean, all these things he doesn't remember. He doesn't remember anything till he's 4.5. All these great things we did.
Would you ever shut up? Then none of that's true, like.
Okay,
He's only
so
trying to big himself up. Anyway, as I know, by the way, that even though we can't remember it, research has shown by psychologists that it still affects their emotional and automatic reactions to things if you do parent them badly as babies.
yeah, but remember, how do researchers know that a 4-year-old who can't remember anything was affected by something before that he can't remember?
Well, because you ask the parents and you do brainwave checks and so on.
Brainwave checks.
Yeah.
They do brainwave checks on 4-year-olds.
Yeah, they do.
Right? And they can tell from...
They X-ray 4-year-olds.
So, yeah, I'm not saying they don't do the brainwave checks, but for some reason they can figure out that you're maladjusted and have been traumatized through these brainwave checks.
You stop being stupid now. You know for a fact that if they plugged them all in and did that thing where you can check their brain waves, and then they don't just go, oh, well, what do you remember? They do something that causes certain things to happen.
I've got a funny feeling that they only did those checks on Americans.
Well, they might have.
Yeah, and
well,
I think
it's a big research.
Yeah, and maybe
group,
that's why they got a lot of poor evidence. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of kids.
I mean, if you looked at most 4-year-olds in Ireland, like, you know, they were very well adjusted.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that was your first memory.
Yeah.
When was the first memory you have of home life, or me and mum?
The first memory I have of home life, or you and mum? Well, to be fair, the first memory I have of home life actually doesn't include you.
Well, that says a lot, doesn't it?
Well, you weren't there.
Go on.
You weren't there. Mum
Yeah.
was at home a lot because she was working, 2 days a week or something
Yeah.
like that. And I was sitting at the kitchen table, and I'd come back from primary school, which would have been finished at about 2:00 or 2:30. And Mom gave me these little plates that she used to give me with the separate out all your foods.
Yeah.
Now, I don't really...
Were we
care.
still in Photo?
No, we were in the new house.
All right, so we're in Carrick.
Well, because I was 3 when we
Carrickogna.
moved to Carrickogna.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just wondering. Anyway, go on.
And it had grapes on it, it had yogurt, the Petit Filou yogurts, which I still like today, even though I don't eat them anymore.
Yeah.
And I had carrots and what else did she give me? Some other kind of fruits and little assortment.
Oh yeah, she was in that
and-
mode where you give them loads of different things.
Yeah.
So you could hence the reason why you had yogurt, carrots, and grapes all in the one plate.
And I think there were some crackers as well there as well.
Oh, probably raw carrots too, were they?
Yeah, raw carrots.
Ah, yeah.
I like raw carrots, though. They're nice.
Yeah.
So that was probably my first memory of home life. A lot of my memories of home life when I was younger was mainly just me and Mom kind of, doing our own thing at home, doing whatever homework I needed to do, playing, watching cartoons.
So where was I?
You actually, from my memories, didn't really... You turned up on holidays, from my memories.
Right.
As in, like, if I think back now to what I can actually remember and see you being there, a lot of the time it was like summer holidays, or it was like going to the cinema, or going to watch something or do something out of the house. It was never really at home, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of it was out of the house. So my first memory of you is probably something to do with Photo Wildlife Park.
Oh yeah, we used to have an annual membership.
Yeah.
Family membership, which we would get for the year, and I think it was about 80 or 90 euro back in the day, and you could go as many times as you like as a family. So yeah, we used to do that a lot with you and Cameron when you were younger. But that would have been weekend stuff.
Oh yeah, a lot of it was weekend stuff.
Yeah, because I would have been traveling a lot during the week.
So a lot of that would have been either me going to the shops with you, or us sitting down watching TV at home, because we used to do that a lot. You used to just go, Aaron, come on over here and we'll watch this and I'll show you something. And we used to just watch a TV series that you used to watch as a kid or whatever that I'd never seen.
Oh yeah.
And that was probably a lot of my home life that I can remember, from the ages of 4 till probably about 10 or 11 was probably like that.
Yeah, probably, yeah. That would make sense.
Before I started secondary school,
Yeah, because I would have changed jobs about then. I probably would have been home more often and stuff like that.
Now I was in the creche a lot. Like when did I start going to the creche?
Me and Mum
8
both
or
worked.
9?
So, much younger, like you, because you went to...
Well, I went to the creche when I was a proper baby.
You went to like Montessori type stuff.
Yeah.
And then you were at school, but you always had after school.
Yes.
So Anne Coyle, do you remember you used to go to Anne Coyle?
Yes,
the other side of Middleton. Yeah. So yeah, and then Anne looked after you and Cameron for a couple of years, and then it was Mary Geary.
Anne Coyle was in Carricktool, that.
No?
Are you sure?
No, in Carricktool, yeah, that's when you were going up, when you were like...
That was the Montessori
junior infants, that was the Montessori.
Actually, that's what my first memory is.
Yeah?
My first memory, because I couldn't remember it, funny enough. My first memory was actually being in Anne Coyle's house, and she had this big recliner couch that we used to be in front of the TV, and all the kids used to like squeeze on as many as we
So
could
this
to
is
sit on
like,
it.
so she lived on the other side of Middleton out where the Gael School is now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, same place, yeah.
No, I'm talking about the Montessori in Carrick.
Oh, the Montessori, yeah, so that wasn't on Coyle, that was
No, right,
Montessori.
okay. But the Montessori in Carrick, and she used to have this kind of wheelchair. It was your one who's got the short hair, and she runs the Family Resource Centre in Carrick now.
Oh, I can't remember, I don't know her name.
Okay. And I had soiled myself in this memory. Of course I had.
Yeah.
Watching TV.
Like, he could have left that bed out, nobody would have been none the wiser, but there you go.
And whoever it was who was taking care of me came over and picked me up and brought me into the bathroom and cleaned me off. That was my first ever memory, actually.
Oh, isn't that that's a classic memory?
I mean,
in fairness.
both of my
What's your
memories
first
are-
ever memory? Oh, I shit myself.
Both my memories are quite shit, aren't they?
It's funny, you know, because that's like probably a good thing for life, because your first ever memory is you shitting yourself, and it'll probably be your last memory as
It
well.
probably will be, yeah. I'll have to write out my autobiography. And
Yeah.
just go, lads.
That's how it started and ended the same way. I
It's
shat
like,
myself.
lads, if you ever do a film about me, just make sure I shat myself at the end of the film.
Yeah. This is a perfect life circle, you know what I mean?
But anyway, what were we talking about?
So, no, we were just saying about your
yeah.
first memories of home and stuff. So,
Yeah, Mary
if we
Gary
think
and
about then how we were chatting yesterday,
stuff. Yeah.
so what memory then would have influenced the person you are today, do you think?
It probably would have been...
And maybe not even a memory, but sort of just a vibe or
Yeah,
whatever.
a lot of... I would say because obviously both my parents were working full-time to give us the life that we had.
You mean me and mum?
Yeah.
Not a different set of parents, like.
No, I know.
Okay.
I would have been in a lot of kind of daycares.
That's
and
maybe why you can't
childcares.
remember your first 4 years. You had different parents then.
Shut
That's
up.
what it was.
I had a lot of different childcare, and was in and out of different stuff like the Montessori. Then you'd Ann Coyle, then you'd Mary Gary's, and then after Mary Gary's, I had Jer, who took care of
when we
me.
moved to Middleton, yeah.
Took care of me in fifth and sixth class of primary school. So I would say that just on those kind of moving around a lot, you know, moving from Carrick to Middleton and moving a lot of different childcares, I probably ended up being very good at making friends and a lot more sociable, understanding social cues really well, being able to read people really well, purely because I was constantly having to adapt to loads of different environments.
Yeah.
So I would say definitely those kind of early years of childcare and kind of getting used to talking with people older than me, like the people who took care of me, and then people my age, and then people younger than me, all in kind of the same place, really helped me then as I started becoming a teenager and an adult.
How do you think you differ from your brother, from Cameron?
Oh, in many ways. In many ways we're different. In a lot of ways we're similar as well, but in many ways we're different. I think I'm probably more goal-orientated than Cam is.
Don't listen to him now, right? Go on.
No, I think I'm probably more goal-orientated than Cam is. I'm definitely more materialistic than Cam is. Cam is more about life and his happiness and what makes him happy and what doesn't. And if something doesn't make it happy, Cam just says, right, well, fuck that then, and just leaves, which is probably something I kind of learned but through my first few jobs, but not really. I'm kind of like, well, if it's not too bad, I'll probably just stick at it. The money's good. So yeah, and then I would say I'm probably a little more clued in when it comes to kind of life and relationships. I think Cam struggles a lot with relationships and finding where he stands in relationships. And I think that's why me and him are quite a good duo when it comes to talking to each other about different stuff, because I can help him out a lot with that. So I'm probably a bit more mature in relationships and stuff like that. And definitely with money, I think I'm probably better with money, or I put a lot of onus on money. I value money a lot, and I think Cam probably doesn't value money as much. He values experiences in life. So that's probably the biggest places where me and him differ, I would say.
If you were thinking about school then, in terms of how you formed, because you went to St Mary's in Carrick-Tool, you went to then the Educate Together in Middleton, and then you went
Middleton College.
Obviously in Middleton before you went to uni.
Yeah.
But primary and secondary school, what was your feeling about them? Which one of those do you think had the biggest impact?
Oh, definitely Educate Together. Definitely Educate Together. Now, I'd say St. Mary's probably had an impact in a negative sense, that I basically had to leave because I was getting bullied by a teacher, which I found, thinking back on it now, is a little weird, really, isn't it? Getting bullied by a teacher when you're 8, 7, whatever I was.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I'd say, not so much in the teacher's defense, but the school itself, there was 35 4-year-olds in a putter cabin.
Yeah.
Which, especially when you get into the warmer months, it was like an oven.
Yeah.
So the kids would have been going bananas. And I remember talking to the teacher, and the poor woman was probably at her wit's end in terms of managing it. And you were a lively kid.
Well, you were talking to, well, it wasn't 4-year-olds, because this was Miss Hegarty. So this is in second class. So we would have been about 6 or 7.
Now, in saying that, she didn't handle herself particularly well, and I ended up going into the school and effing them out of it.
So did Grandma.
And just to sort of put some manners on them, and ultimately that's why we decided to move you to Educate Together, because the class sizes, there was only, I think, 18 in the class when you joined it, but there was only ever about 20 at the most.
Well, when I first joined Educate Together, we were in the rugby pitch, and we had the porta cabins, these little things, literally right next to a rugby pitch where the rugby club used to do all their training and matches and stuff, which was kind of funny because it was also right next to where Middleton College did their rugby.
That's right.
Which is all a little full circle a little bit as well there.
Yeah.
And when I first joined, there was 13 of us in the class.
Yeah.
And then it slowly
That's right,
slowly
there was.
increased.
It was a small class then you moved to the new building, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the new building then was over by the fire station. And as soon as we got to the new building, 24 people in my class. So it just slowly got bigger over the years. But yeah, I would definitely say the Educate Together put a lot of creativity, really embraced my creativity, gave me a lot of freedom, treated everyone differently, but in a good way. So treated them in according to who they are, what their personality is, and what they're capable of, rather than what a lot of schools tend to do, because it's less work, is kind of just put everyone in the same basket and just treat them all the same.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of people with learning difficulties and stuff like that, which I always got on great with, because they were different, and it was, I don't know, I quite liked taking care of those people and helping them with their stuff, because in primary school I was considered quite intelligent, not to toot my own horn, but just in the sense that I always got my work done super quick, never had issues with homework, and basically purposely because of me, they had to put in a separate homework box for me to do extra homework, with loads of different maths sheets in it, which I finished in about 2 months. So yeah, definitely primary, the Educate Together really kind of helped me figure out who I was at the time, which is, I suppose, a funny thing to get a child to do, but it really helped them when I went into Middleton College.
Cool. Okay, so we have just come out of the Channel Tunnel, so literally it's a 30-minute spin in the train, and we're coming into France now. So we'll park this for now, and then what we'll do is we'll pick it up in a while when we talk about the difficult teenage years.
Oh yeah. All right, we're back.
All right, Aaron. So, when I was a teenager, I used to read these books about a young fella called Adrian Mole.
Yeah.
And it was all about, Adrian Mole, 13 and a half. I sort of followed him through his difficult teenage years. So, well, we started that with you. So we got a good idea of primary school and the influences and Educate Together and that sort of stuff, and brief overview of early memories and how you keep shitting yourself and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, if we think about your teenage years, where, why don't you give us a little feeling of what it was like to be a teenager?
All right, well, I think, for one, I wasn't a very difficult teenager. I had a few years here and there, but they weren't that bad. And through my teenage years, I found myself to start being, through teenage years, you start to become a bit more complacent. You're a little more kind of inclined to do what the crowd says and follow the herd, and kind of you never really figure yourself out until a lot later in your teenage years, I found.
Okay.
So started secondary school at 12, turned 13 halfway through. I was small. I was kind of similar to Dad in the sense that I was 4'11" going into secondary school, and then didn't actually reach 5 foot until the second year.
Okay.
I instantly became injured in first year, which kind of set up the rest of my teenage years being known as the guy on crutches all the time. Because I dislocated my knee for the first time halfway through first year. And yeah, it was a lot of kind of, getting to know people, created different cliques. I ended up becoming a lot of friends with a lot of the girls, which would have been quite standard for me in primary school, being friends with more of the girls than the lads. Having one or two lad friends, but that's really kind of it. And yeah, it was not much to talk about really in first year. I was shocked, I suppose, a lot with how difficult the work was, the study ethic that people had already, me not necessarily knowing how to study or what study was because I'd never done it before, because I kind of really soared through primary school not really having to try too hard. So then I got into first year and instantly kind of was put into the, oh, that guy's not too bright, or he doesn't work that hard, so he doesn't get good results kind of category. Kind of an average student.
And why do you think that was?
Well, I think it was just because I was told I was smart my whole life and didn't really have to work too hard to do very, very well in primary school. So then I came in secondary school and thought I'd be just the same thing.
Okay.
So I didn't learn a work ethic. I didn't learn how to work hard to get what I wanted. And I didn't really learn that until I was in probably third year. Because in third year me and Dad had a fallout, but I ended up getting grounded for all sorts of hooliganism, or whatever you call it, basically being
Just
a typical
messing around,
teenager.
getting in trouble, yeah.
Yeah, getting in trouble. Started smoking and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I got grounded for 3 months.
Yeah. Now, when it was
4
grounded, well, it wasn't like you weren't confined to your room, but it was just you lost your privileges.
Yeah, so I had bought a new PS4 with my birthday money, but that was restricted to weekends only.
Yeah.
And I could only use it at weekends if I'd done study. But what that really showed me, and I actually look back on that not being like, oh, those fucking bastards. I look back on that and being like, wow, that was a really big teaching lesson for me halfway through my teenage years, when you're 15, and that's when you're kind of really in the middle of all the hormonal stuff and women and getting influenced by your friends and peer pressure and stuff. So that kind of really set a lesson for me. I would get up every Saturday morning at 7 or 8 a.m, do all my study, so I'd get 4 or 5 hours of study done. So then by the time it was 12 or 1 o'clock, which would have been when all my friends would be getting up anyway.
I remember those days, actually, yeah.
Yeah. My PS4 was in the kitchen, and it was on this little cupboard thing that we used to have an old radio on, that had cassette and DVD player and stuff all in it. And I put my TV there with my PS4 in front of it. Now, this was a tiny table. This was like...
It was like a wee dressing table.
Yeah, it was like, 40 centimetres by 40 centimetres,
Yeah.
something like that. So literally just about fit my TV and my PS4 on the thing at the same time. And from 1 o'clock until 1 a.m. I played PS4, played Fortnite because it was just out.
Yeah.
Played Call of Duty, played Rainbow Six Siege. And to be honest, I actually really, really loved those 4 months. Really enjoyed them. I had a lot of fun. Felt like I was actually doing well in school, because I think because of the lack of work ethic that I understood, it's not that I didn't want to work hard, I just didn't know how to, or what it meant to work hard. I think a lot of first and second year I kind of felt like a disappointment, felt like a failure, felt like I didn't really excel or do what I could have, because I was still quite a dreamer. At that age, still very goal orientated, similar to how I am now, but I think it's a bit more step by step now. So I did want big things for myself, but I just never seemed to reach that goal or that success that I wanted in first and second year. So it really was a breath of fresh air. In third year, when I was actually doing stuff, getting stuff done, being productive, feeling really confident about the exam, my junior cert, I ended up doing well in them. I got B's and C's, which is quite good considering I was failing a lot in first and second and even the start of third year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've really fond memories of that time playing with my friends on the PlayStation and stuff like that. And really, that's when I kind of bonded with my friend group.
Yeah.
I think in first year, I became friends with Tomas because I knew Tomas from before secondary school. He was the younger brother of Cameron's older brother friend. And yeah, I kind of just ended up becoming friends with like 2 or 3 lads, and we were kind of a group. And then second year I moved and I became friends with Ronan, and me, Ronan and Tomas were kind of a friend group. And then third year I became friends with Cormac, Jason, Ronan, Tomas, Owen, Noah, like all these lads, James. Like we all then ended up just playing on PlayStation. There was like 8 or 9 of us all playing games together, and yeah, that was really when secondary school started, I think, for me, was then.
And when you were saying about the study stuff, did you enjoy the gaming because you knew you had accomplished stuff that day already? So you sort of felt like, okay, I've done some good stuff, so now I can relax, and rather than maybe playing games thinking I should be doing something more productive.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where really, now I ended up the year after, ended up getting, well, it was probably the year after that maybe, but I ended up getting diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. But definitely looking back on third year, I could see the remnants of that kind of starting in regards to even now, if I don't do work or I don't do study or I don't finish an assignment before I do anything fun, and I do the fun thing first, I get really, really guilty, feel like I wasn't productive, all the negative talk starts and stuff. So I definitely found in third year that taught me a lot about myself.
Yeah.
That kind of getting up, I made the effort to get up because I wanted to, because I knew what was after that. I knew what the reward was. And then once I'd all the study done, it was kind of carefree playing from there and really enjoying it and not having the other stuff on my mind and being able to really kind of bond and connect with my friendship group and stuff like that. So yeah, it was definitely very important to get that study done for me early on in the day.
Okay, so that was the early part. So what do you think was the most difficult thing for you during your teenage years? Now you're sort of from, up to leaving cert and the likes.
I think the most difficult thing for me, which was very polar opposite to, well, it wasn't very polar opposite, but it was different to primary school. So in primary school, I was very much a floater in regards to friend groups. I was kind of friends with everyone. I had a few close friends, but put me in any group to work on something and I would have been friends with all of them and been able to chat away, and I'd be more than acquaintances with everyone, basically.
Yeah.
And that was enjoyable for me, Milton Educate Together, because we were all kids. We were all kind of like that. Now, a few were a bit more inclined to be with their cliques and stuff like that, but we were all kind of like that. And then when I went to secondary school, it was instantly everyone was a clique. Everyone only was friends with who they knew, and it was this sort of elitism that was kind of created, we're the smart friend group, so we're elitist, or we're the most wealthy kids, so we're a clique and we're elitist, and we're the most diverse with our music, so we're elitist, and it was all that kind of stuff. So I was still a floater. I was a floater all the way through primary school or in secondary school. But it became less of I'm a floater, but everyone kind of does that and we all love each other anyway as friends, and became more of like I'm a floater, so I'm struggling to figure out who to talk to every day, and if 1 or 2 of my close friends aren't in, then I have nobody to talk to, or I end up walking around like a headless chicken talking to everybody, and then once that conversation ends I have to go find another friend group to go talk to.
And did you learn anything from that sort of experience that you took, as you got older? I suppose looking back on it now,
I think a lot of it was probably in my head, in the sense that I felt like nobody liked me because, not for any particular reason, just because I was a floater, it felt like nobody liked me.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that was in my head. I felt like if I was a bit more assertive and kind of inserted myself into different situations and really put myself out there, I probably would have done a lot better. Because a lot of the people around me were a lot more confident than I was. And if they weren't confident, they would have people around them who also weren't confident. But I was kind of in the middle. I was like fairly confident, fairly happy with myself, but not confident enough to kind of, what it would feel like would be putting other people out then by me inserting myself, you know. So I think if I just put myself out there and was a little more aggressive, for lack of a better word, in regards to getting into conversations and situations and experiences with other people.
And does that come from like learning how to do? Is that more a case of it's sort of getting yourself to worry less about what people think, and just sort of go and just being yourself rather than and be willing to sort of, as you say, put yourself out there, join in the groups or volunteer to go to, you know, do things at the weekend or and sort of lose that fear of rejection.
Yeah, I think definitely it was a bit of a fear of rejection, but also I think I really did not know who I was at that time, and I think some people did. It seemed definitely from the outside that some people did, but for me myself, I think I definitely did not know who I was without other people at that time. I was fine being by myself, but being by myself it's not like, I don't think it's how other people may have described being by their own. Like me being by myself was like, I was just doing what I normally would do. I wasn't being anyone when I was by myself. I was just doing what I like to do. So I definitely think not knowing myself caused a lot of that fear of rejection, because I didn't know how to label myself, which, you know, in the modern era, we're not really all about labels, but when you're a teenager and you're trying to figure out who your friends are, you kind of do have to label yourself and know who you are
as a person.
So then other people know where to put you.
And would you then, how do you think then that helped at school once you started to get more of a handle of, you know, being a little bit more confident, a little bit more willing to sort of, you know, walk over to a group of people and just join in? Did that have a big impact then on your sort of 5th and 6th year?
Yeah, so then kind of 4th year was I just want to start with 4th year first. So 4th year was a bit of a weird year for me, because that's when everything from 3rd year in regards to me not knowing who I was, not, you know, being a floater and all this, going into 4th year was really exacerbated, because in 4th year everybody really put a lot of effort into experiences and hanging out with each other and doing parties, and I'm not much of a partier, but getting, like, you know, really drunk with each other and having all these kind of what you would call team bonding moments. And I wasn't really about that. So then 4th year was basically me just going into school every day, sitting in each class, you know, as you move through the different classes throughout the day, just watching Netflix, because none of the teachers really cared what you did.
Because this was transition year, obviously.
Transition year. And we did the whole mountain biking thing when we went up to Limerick and stuff like that for a week. And that was interesting, but it was sort of the same thing, to be honest. All the lads would stay up super late every night, and I was like, well, fuck this for a game of soldiers, I'm wrecked, so I would just go to sleep. And then as soon as I wake up in the morning, the lads are like, Aaron, you missed so much last night, we did this and this and this. And it was definitely that kind of thing of like, I was the person who always missed out, not because no one wanted me to, or you know, wanted me to miss out, but just because I wasn't like everyone around me.
Yeah.
I was just different and a bit more unique, so they didn't really know where to put me, what to do with me. So then I just missed out on a lot of opportunities to have that secondary school experience. So then when I got into 5th and 6th year, everyone grew up a bit more. There was a lot more maturity around the year, which suited me better, because that's who I was as a person anyway. Yeah. I always was a year or two ahead of my friends in regards to maturity and what my interests were. So then 5th and 6th year was just all 80 of us were just one big happy family, and everyone chatted to everyone hung out with everyone got invited to every party. So the parties I used to go to were massive in 5th and 6th year. You'd have 60 people there, all from the same year. And obviously, because I went to a private school, people had big enough houses that they could hold everyone.
Yeah. And was that then, did people, your friends like at school and people that maybe you weren't friends with before, did people start treating you differently because you had grown, or was it more because they had grown as a person?
I think I had changed as a person. I don't know if I'd grown as a person, because obviously I had the thing with the IBS and the generalized anxiety disorder. I was then put on anxiety meds for 5th and 6th year. So I had changed as a person. I don't know if I'd grown. But definitely everyone around me grew. And everyone it definitely felt of that whole, like, 1st to 4th year, everyone had their own individual goals, and everyone was kind of reaching for a different star. But 5th and 6th year, it was like we were all one mind, because we were all going for the same goal. We all wanted to do the Leaving Cert, obviously, and we all wanted to do well in the Leaving Cert. Yeah. So we all knew what we were putting in, and we all knew what we were getting out. And it was that kind of thing, that you get in the work environment, where you have a whole team and everyone's going for the same thing. So you really start to connect with everyone a lot better, and that kind of camaraderie starts and stuff like that. So 5th and 6th year was definitely a nicer time for me, I think. Less stressful, less kind of mental anguish every day when I used to go into school. I wouldn't have to think too hard then about what would happen.
You were just more relaxed?
Yeah, more relaxed.
And then, so when you think of Leaving Cert, obviously there's a lot of pressure we put on Leaving Cert students, whether it's parents or teachers or just the system in general. But at what point then did you start to realise that you got a handle maybe on what you wanted to do after your Leaving Cert in terms of college and that, and how did that then change your approach?
So I kind of, in 5th year, I kind of juggled with wanting to be an English student. So I had talked to Dad and Mom about me going to Trinity and doing an English degree, and then maybe moving on to be a reporter or a journalist or whatever, a writer of some sort. And that kind of changed when I realized not only were the points very high,
yeah,
but also I think it changed when I realized I like creativity, but I like creativity when it's based in a kind of guidelines. And I think creativity, when it came to writing, it was too much for me. It was too much of trying to kind of grab something out of thin air and then make it something.
Yeah.
Whereas with business and economics and stuff like that, there's a whole load of creativity in that. But you're working with principles. You're working with base levels of understanding. You're not grabbing things out of thin air. You're creating stuff out of amalgamations of different principles and theories and research. So I think I really noticed that when I got into 6th year, was that, okay, this economic stuff, because I had an economics project, and that's what really kicked it off for me. I was like, okay, I really enjoy this, because I was looking at petrol prices and how it was changing with COVID and all this kind of stuff, and I think that was really when that cemented for me what I wanted to do, because I think marketing, Cam would say this as well, I think marketing was always on the back of our mind, because we had learned so much about it through you and your work growing up, that we were like, well, if we wanted to, we absolutely could do marketing, because we know enough about the basic principles. We maybe don't know what they're called or the specifics, but we know enough about them that we could absolutely do it and probably do well in it.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I was definitely more business orientated, a bit more business inclined. So then, I chose economics. It added the political side into stuff that I really enjoyed, politics. It added business and money and capitalism and all that kind of stuff into it, which I really enjoyed looking at and seeing how that was changing and how it might become something else and all this kind of stuff. And then it added in the need to socialize and talk to people and educate people about different stuff and advise people on, you know, maybe their decisions and be part of creating a business without actually being the person who creates the business.
Yeah. It's interesting. So, obviously, you did your leaving cert, you got good points or whatever. Just for the record, what many points did you get?
I got 444.
Okay, so you got good points in your leaving cert, and you got accepted then in to do economics through transformational learning at UCC.
Yeah.
So, how have you found college life? So, you've just finished your second year.
Yeah, so I've just finished second year. I did well. I got a 2-1 overall.
Yeah.
I got a 1-1 overall for first year. So college was definitely like starting secondary school all over again, which was kind of weird because it's not, college isn't everything that everyone tells you it is. It's only like that for a certain amount of people. So college, I think, was typically described to me as you go there, you have fun, you go to classes, but you don't necessarily have to if you don't want to. You kind of roam in, roam out, get your exams done, you know, study, all that kind of stuff. But it was never seen as like a very serious, well, of course it was seen as serious, but as in you had a lot more freedom and you were a lot more treated like an adult. That's what I was told. But then when I got in there, it was like Middleton College all over again. It was walking in and you're meeting everyone and everyone's a bit, you know, kind of within themselves. They're not really talking too much. So I didn't end up actually making proper friends until maybe my second semester in first year. And people are going out, they're getting smashed drunk all the time, you know, every week. Lads were doing it every single day of every week for the entirety of first year. So they were maybe living the I'm an adult, I can do what I want, walk in, walk out of class, get drunk, freedom, all this kind of stuff. But college wasn't really set up like that. Like, all those lads did really bad in first year.
Yeah.
They didn't do well in their exams. They didn't do well in their assignments. Because college can be like that if you want it to be, but it just means you're not going to do well. And I think that was a real big shock for me when I realized that. Was kind of like, oh, if I want to do well, yes, I can have a social life here and there. And I went out once in first year and once in second year.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't really call a social life.
No.
But for me it was, because I don't like going out. But realistically, you're going to your part-time job, you're going home, you're doing your assignments, your study, then you're going to class the next day. And you're not really doing this whole fantastical comical college experience. I think that college experience is more in, if you're living in the city near your college, it's definitely very much an Americanized type of college ethos. Where
you think it's different because you live at home and go to college,
Yes.
as opposed to, you know, living in student accommodation?
Absolutely. I think the fact that I live at home in college really separates me from my college experience and my college friends. But I don't know if I would necessarily change it. I think it works for me for who I am. And I think in first year, at the end of first year, I was kind of going, oh, you know, I'm missing the college experience, I'm having no fun. I was a little depressed and very stressed, obviously, because I was off my meds at this point, trying to figure it out through therapy and stuff like that, instead of being so reliant on them. So I think after first year, I was really hard on myself for not doing what everyone told me college was going to be, even though I was probably the second best results in the entire year.
Yeah.
And then when I got into second year, I just went, everyone, just like they did in fifth year and sixth year, kind of went, okay, we need to start strapping in and start doing real college life, which is working.
Yeah.
And I just started becoming easier on myself. I was a bit more like, do you know what, Aaron, that's not who you are. You don't actually want any of this stuff. You've just got FOMO because everyone else is doing it. But that you don't really enjoy that kind of stuff. You like going home and seeing your parents and hanging out with your dad and your mom and watching movies and having nice food, and then going to work and seeing all your work friends and seeing your girlfriend and all that kind of stuff. Those are things I really enjoyed. I didn't didn't really want to go out and get pissed drunk every night and you know, lose my money and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, second year definitely created a better experience for me. Now second year was really hard going because it was a lot of work, a lot of late nights and a lot of long hours of doing assignments, you know, sitting down for 5 or 6 hours doing one assignment, a lot of research and a lot of part-time work as well. But all in all, I was kind of really enjoyed second year. I really clicked with people, and I have my own little friend group now, which is Aaron, funnily enough, and Tom. And we do all our assignments together. If there's any projects or whatever, we do projects together, and we're all very clued in, and we have a lot more aligned goals, I think.
And do you still keep in touch with your schoolmates from middle college?
The only schoolmate that I keep in touch with is Theo, Dylan, and Ronan. The only schoolmates, I should say. So those three. So Ronan is currently over in Austria studying export management. Dylan is still up the road, still at home. He's currently a lorry driver for his dad, and then waiting until he turns 25 so he can start doing proper truck driving with the Arctics and stuff like that, so he can get his license and get insurance and stuff when he turns 25.
Yeah.
And then Theo dropped out of college first semester in first year, and ever since then he's kind of just been part-time work, in and out of part-time work, making whatever few bob he can for a little bit and then going off to Spain and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, Theo's definitely a bit more of a free soul, that he doesn't really know where he is, he doesn't really know what he wants to do, but he's just making whatever money he can when he can, and then quits the job, goes find a new one later on, but then uses the money to enjoy his life. Yeah. And I think me and him, Theo was actually a big lifesaver for me in 5th and 6th year, because everyone had become friends with everyone. I had lost all my really close friends. Now, obviously, I hadn't lost Ronan and stuff like that, but even me and Ronan inside school didn't really talk much, but outside school we'd hang out. So Theo then basically became my the closest friend I had in school for 5th and 6th year. He was the only person I talked to in school, the only person I hung out with. And me and him just really got on because he liked the UFC, he liked movies, he liked TV shows, he liked sports, he liked working out, which I liked at the time. He just enjoyed everything I enjoyed, and I think he also had the same approach to life to me, which was you have to work hard to do well, and if you don't work hard, you don't do well. And we had the same sort of political beliefs and all that kind of stuff. He's very bright, but he kind of faced similar issues that I did when I first came into primary or secondary school, which was he was so bright that he didn't work very hard, so then he didn't really ever gain a work ethic. Yeah. And he knows what it is to work hard, but he still just struggles with that motivation. I think that's why he is where he is now. But he's enjoying life. So.
And how do you think then meeting Chloe, how did that change things for you or enhance your life?
Well, yeah, so meeting Chloe, so we met online, and meeting Chloe was an interesting one.
So when you say met online, what app were you on?
Tinder.
Okay.
So we met on Tinder. Now,
see lads, Tinder does work.
Yeah. Now, we were about to delete Tinder. Both of us were about to go on and delete Tinder because it didn't work for most of the time that we were on it.
Yeah.
And we both she saw that I had matched with her 2 days earlier and decided to message me at the same time that I was just went on Tinder to delete it. And then I saw she messaged me, I messaged her back. Basically, it was a very short, boring conversation. It was literally, oh, hiya, do you want my Snap? Yeah, sure. And then we just went on to Snapchat. Both deleted Tinder then.
Okay.
And yeah, it was an interesting one with Chloe because we started talking halfway through my leaving cert. So I was still in 6th year. And we were very different people then to who we are now. But it was kind of this instant, no-brainer, didn't even question it kind of connection, where I had been in relationships before where at the start you're always kind of like, will I, won't I, is this the right person for me, am I attracted to them, you know, do we have the same personality traits? Whereas with Chloe, I didn't have any of those questions. I didn't even think twice about it. It was just like, yeah, this is me, this is it. And we met for the first time in the end of June. She's going to kill me because I can't remember the bloody date again.
Whereabouts?
It was in Kinsale.
Whereabouts? Like, did you go somewhere or you just sit?
We walked around all of Kinsale. She actually created a little, you know, the wood board she created for me where she engraved this little road route, and that was where we walked.
Yeah.
It was the 27th, I want to say.
Okay.
Of June. That was when we first met. We matched in July. We matched in June, the 11th of June. And that's our anniversary. We didn't ask each other out. I didn't ask her out until till December that year as a joke.
All right.
She was like, oh, you haven't asked me out yet, so I asked her out in December. I was like, oh, well, do you want to go out with me then? But I didn't need to because I knew already. And that's why the 11th of June is our anniversary. It was the first day we started talking to each other. Because we just knew right there and then that was it. So how Chloe, what was it? How Chloe changed me, or?
Yeah, just how has that sort of changed things for you, being in a long-term relationship? Like,
it's made the world a little less lonely.
okay.
Because I think for me, I was very insular myself, and I can become very isolated. You know, if I'm very busy or I've got stuff going on or stuff on my head, I kind of just disappear. So yeah, it meant there was always someone checking up on me. There's always someone there for me to talk to about stuff that I enjoy, but also if there's stuff going on. And it was that kind of unconditional love and security that I think I needed. Because obviously I had that from you and Mom, but
Yeah.
it's not the same kind of thing because you almost take your parents for granted in that sense.
Yeah.
But then when you meet a partner that gives you that sort of similar unconditional love, you never really can take it for granted because it's different. So I think it definitely changed my life, but changed my life for the better because it gave me stability to be who I am and who I want to be, and not have to have that constant thing of like, will I ever find that person for me? And it kind of allowed me to move through the world almost like I had a bit of a protective shield on me. Like nothing could really hurt me because I knew who I had at home.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really kind of helped a lot with knowing who I was, giving me a goal, allowing me to identify a process for my future and my career. Like as soon as I met Chloe, it was like, right, now I need to figure out who I want to be and who I'm going to be and what I want to do and how hard I want to work for it. And that really just gave me an excuse and a motivation every single day to want to do that, was meeting Chloe and having her in my corner.
Cool. Okay, so as we draw to a close, right, so we've been through teenage and college years and meeting Chloe and things like that. What is your, I suppose, short-term aspirations then for the next year or so?
That's a good question, actually. Well, so through my years of therapy, I have now adopted what Dad has adopted, which is the one day at a time, every day is a new life.
One day at a time.
All that sort of stuff.
Sweet Jesus.
So, I think my short-term aspirations in a year from now would be get my degree, get a 2-1, then work for the summer, and make up enough money for me to move country and go and live somewhere like Guernsey or Jersey or, somewhere small and not too many people there and kind of slow, a bit more peaceful. Because I think Ireland over the years for me has become a place that's not peaceful. It's become a place that causes me a lot of stress. There's a lot of people around. There's a lot going on. I know everybody, and I'd like to go to a place where I don't know people. I obviously don't know everybody, but I see everyone around me are kind of people I've known my whole life. And yeah, I'd kind of like to just get out and see the world a bit. Do that for a year, and then after that, probably come home or go to England or something like that and do a graduate program and try and get my master's funded and stuff like that.
So what do you think then? If you so that whole travel thing. So this week we're spending a week driving around France and a day in different cities.
Yeah.
What's the idea behind that for you? What do you want to get out of it? Why did you want to do it?
This road trip?
Yeah.
I think for this road trip, I think me and Dad are in a good place now, as in not just as our relationship, but also separately, we're in a good place. So it then kind of dawned on me, well, it would be nice if both of us went out together and almost treated ourselves to, going to, from all the hard work we put in, you more so than I did, but still hard work nonetheless. And go out and see the world, try new food. Me and you have a lot of the same interests when it comes to, interesting food, architecture, history, movies, books, comic books, all that kind of stuff. So it was more so, I think, for me, I saw this family on YouTube about a year and a half ago do a road trip across America, and they went to all the places where like Elvis was, and Memphis and all that, big music places, but also places with brilliant food. And it really I was just like, and he went with his son, and I was like, you know what, why don't me and Dad do that? We go somewhere in Europe, somewhere that's got loads of history, loads of creative history, and definitely food culture and stuff like that. And just go explore and try new stuff. And it's not really something I've done before, because me and you have always done the kind of
package holidays.
Yeah, package holiday. You go fly in, go to a hotel, and you stay in the same place for the 2 weeks. And you don't really see anywhere. You don't really see the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's definitely was my main motivation. Why did you say yes? That's what I want to know.
Why did I say yes?
Yeah, why did it entice you to do it? What were the big things for you that you wanted to get out of this?
Well, I suppose one of the things is that, Cameron was getting older, and, he was well settled into his job and things like that. And I sort of knew that he was wanting to stretch his legs and leave home or whatever. And then you sort of start thinking, well, we never really, we always talked when these guys were younger. I'd love to do a road trip across America, and obviously Cameron was big into his car, so there was always this thing, it would be great to do something like that.
Yeah.
But obviously you never get around to doing those things because
life just
life gets in the way, and everybody's busy. And obviously Cameron had spent 4 or 5 years, serving his time as a mechanic, so therefore, opportunities weren't necessarily available and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it was more, so then I was sort of thinking, well, you don't want to sort of miss those opportunities with both of you or whatever, that sort of way. So then it was, when we started talking about it, as we used to all the time anyway, I just went, well, why don't we? Yeah, look, we can't go to America because too expensive, too much difficulty, all that sort of stuff. And obviously, America is a bit of a shithole at the moment, so do you really want to go there and end up sort of getting into trouble and all the rest of it? So, and obviously, the UK isn't that much different from Ireland, so it's like, well, we don't want to be doing that. So I suppose I just thought, going to France or something that's handy to get to. We can take the car and just drive there. And it would give us a chance just to have that experience where it's just the two of us hanging out, driving around, staying in different cities. Not necessarily any great plans apart from we'll go to these different cities and just see what they're like. And even if we're just sitting having a bit of a lunch in the plaza in the square of a city and just hanging out or whatever and just enjoying the vibe and the culture, then that would be great crack.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, you know, and you have always been pretty adamant that when you get out of college, you wanted to get out there and see a bit of the world. And I'm very much like that, and I was like that when I was younger. So I sort of went, you know, he won't be messing around. Like, he'll have it booked before he's even done his final exams. Like, he'll be ready to go. So I think this was sort of last opportunity this summer to do something. And then it was just a case, well, you know, finding a week then at the beginning of the summer, you know, before Mum has her holidays, or you're going off to hang out with Chloe or your friends or whatever.
Yeah.
And with Airbnb and stuff like that, it's so easy now just to find places ad hoc.
Yeah.
And you're not having to package holidays into hotels and all this. And you could just sort of pick where you wanted to go, any random places, get Google Maps out, you know, figure it out and go, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, and I think it suited our now stoic way of thinking, which is very much like, we'll just see what life takes us and see where it brings us, and we can kind of make decisions on the fly. And
well, it's a bit funny considering both of us are quite like logical things, and we like planning and all the rest of it. And you know, there's actually much more planning got into this week than probably it sounds like, because you know,
definitely, yeah.
You know, we booked it, like everything's booked up for the next week or whatever. But in terms of where we went or where we're going, it was literally just take a pin out, pick somewhere on the map. Like, you know, we're going to Reims, we're going to Metz, we're going to Lyon, we're going to Lille today. We have no idea really what's in any of those places, except for, you know, doing a bit of, you know, Googling, and you see loads of nice churches and stuff.
Yeah, and also, let's be honest, we were kind of going, well, we know football teams from there as well, and they seem pretty all right, so...
Yeah, so like, you know, it's just like, yeah, they're just sort of random cities. We'll go down one side of France and come back up the other side, and just sort of enjoy it for what it is. So I think that sort of the looseness and of it is actually just sort of quite enjoyable, because no great plans. We don't, you know, that sort of way, and if we have to cancel something, it's not the end of the world, you know what I mean?
No.
And all that. So yeah, and it's just, you know, just to hang out together and have these kind of chats. You know, we decided we would try and record some conversations so that, you know, when I'm dead and gone or whatever, you know, we have, you know, there's something there that you can listen back to in 10 years or 20 years time.
You keep saying when you're dead and gone. The reason, so I actually came up with the idea of the podcast to do while we were traveling.
Yeah.
And the reason I asked Dad to do it was because, first of all, I wanted to delve into my media chops, which I've wanted to do my whole life.
Yeah.
And the other thing was actually so that in 10 or 15 years, we can kind of look back on this when you're a little older and I've got probably a family and a full-time job, and be like, well, where was the world back then? Where were we back then? And, you know, what was going on?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Okay, I might be dead. I could have Alzheimer's. So it could come in handy for that. Like, here, Dad. Yeah. Oh, he listens to the same fucking digital recording every day of that trip we did. He's still 52 driving around France in his head, which wouldn't be a bad way to be, I suppose.
That'd be pretty good, I suppose, yeah.
So, but yeah, just to sort of capture the moment a bit, capture some memories before, you know, you start going off living your own independent life and sort of seeing the world. And obviously me and Mum start doing more things by ourselves because the kids are growing up.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just felt like it was really good timing. And also we like each other's company, so it's nice just to hang out.
Yeah.
Grab some nice food, go for a beer, and just see a bit of the world, you know, around us, you know, just a different vibe.
All right, so we are about 25 minutes away from our destination in Lyon.
Yeah.
So we will probably...
Yeah, we'll call it an episode
today, and then we'll probably do one tomorrow on our way to Reims.
Yeah,
on our way to Reims. Yeah.
So we'll find a situation tomorrow where we can do a wee chat.
All right.
Thanks very much for listening. As you can tell, most of these episodes won't have proper outros, but we appreciate you spending a little time with us and listening to our chat, and we'll see you in the next episode.